What's going on, guys? It's your favorite mortgage lender, Abdel Kwame, Got Mortgages. I've got a very special guest here, Mr. Joe Wilson with Social Coach. Joe, what's up, dude?
Hey man, thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you. I'm glad. It's funny. The first time we've ever met was a few months ago at Leadership Conference.
Yep.
So that was fun. I think we're actually going back to the same place this year.
Oh,
Uh,
dude,
for
Huntington Beach is the best. I love it.
Yeah, of course it's close to the guys out in Cali. So
Yeah.
but this is a long time coming. We run into so many of the same common circles with various different partners and stuff. It's funny. I shot one of the first podcasts. This is like 3 or 4 years ago with Ben.
Oh, nice.
When he was firing him out, and same thing. Him and I had met first time at leadership.
Yep.
I think it was probably 3 years ago, and then he was like, "Wow, you're a lot bigger in person than you are."
And coming from Ben, that's saying a lot because he's a big guy too.
He's
You
a
guys
big
are
dude.
like, yeah.
Listen, I want to jump right into it because I know we've got so much that I'm so excited to share because you know me, I'm very big into social media and online exposure and stuff.
Yep.
And that's really the platform that you guys have built, right? To
hmm
cater to professionals to accommodate to that. So you want to kind of introduce yourself and share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, totally. Social Coach is a platform that we built for the very specific need of helping lenders really improve their social media presence. And there's the kind of corporate side of stuff, which is boring for everybody, but it's necessary to help folks like PRMG and others kind of manage a large number of loan officers and the compliance piece of it, really. But the heart of it really comes down to how do we help loan officers really improve their social media presence, help them customize content their company has for them, but also make, and you're a great example of this, but make really great video content. Because I mean, think about this, everyone who's listening. The last time you open up Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, or whatever, the first thing that hits your face is video. And that's the only thing that's really memorable to a consumer, to a referral partner, to whomever. And so if you're missing out on video content, you're missing out a lot. So we make it really simple, really easy, give you a bunch of ideas of what types of things to say and talk about, of the platform to even with a teleprompter to read it, and then all the editing services you need to make that look really good and premium, and then even post it for you on your social accounts. So that's in a nutshell.
Yeah, I love the scripting and the teleprompter definitely make it super convenient because,
Yep.
and I'm terrible at this, being a tech geek, it like using like 17 different platforms, right? Where like you pull the info from AI, Chat GPT, and then you grab it and then you absorb it and then you put it in MBS Highways teleprompter or something. So there's a
Mhm.
lot like going on everywhere. I love that you guys had it like, one stop, put it in, grab the info. What do you want to talk about? Okay, you like this idea, click it, boom, click a button, and you're in, which is
Done.
super cool.
No,
Um,
thanks, dude.
so I want to dive right into it, right? So social media obviously is transitioning in so many different avenues of the business, right? So if somebody is a mortgage lender, what do you feel like are the top key branding strategies, or really any real estate professional? Because I like to keep a
Yeah.
lot of my content real estate professional driven. So if you're a real estate professional, what do you feel like are the top key branding strategies that a professional can use to help build trust and attract more clients to their database?
Yeah, I think the standard like chat GPT answer is like be a trusted advisor and educate and do these kind of things. But that's what everybody else is doing. But you got to do it slightly different than everybody else. You got to do something that you stand out, that you have to be memorable at, right? And this is something that I think you've done such an incredible job at. The Got Mortgages. You talk about weightlifting. You talk about the community you live in, New Jersey, football. The beach vibes. All these things about like you as a person, that something that people can actually connect with, and you stand out from the crowd, right? So it's thinking about being like a character almost with your online presence. It's do something different than everybody else that makes you unique. You don't have to be, yes, you need to be the trusted advisor, but that trust comes with being personal, being transparent about what you're doing, sharing customer stories, talking with your rural to referral partners about tough deals that they got done. Those types of things really help you stand out from the crowd and be memorable. And in the end, that's the most important thing as a former loan officer. It's like, man, the worst thing that could possibly ever happen to me is a friend or somebody I thought would use me on a loan said, "Oh, I forgot that you did loans." And you're like, "Gosh, how did you ever forget that?" So you have to be unforgettable on social.
Yeah, no, I listen, I'm a firm believer. First of all, you know me, I don't wear any other gear except my got mortgages stuff.
Yeah,
From t-shirts to this was our Christmas one where
I
it's
love it.
you will get your home alone to the hats, to the branding,
Oh
to
man, it's so
to
good.
custom t-shirts for clients when they close with their last name on the back. And it becomes
That's
fun
so
too,
good.
because it is memorable. Listen, the educational content we put out there, has become a little bit more kind of like a time block where it's like it's there, it's going to go out, I'm going to do it, I know that I'm establishing that credibility, right, to talk to you about CPI and PPI and PCE report and inflation and all that crap that I had no idea about any of this stuff 3 4 years ago, right?
Yeah.
3 4 years ago it was like, hi, how are you, this is your monthly payment, this is your cash to close, you're going to bust my chops about the rate, I'll see if I can get us a lower exception, where it was really pricing driven, right? And then I think the last 2 3 years has really separated the mix of those studs who knew what they were talking about versus the ones that were a little bit more pricing driven, right?
Hmm.
So I love that. So second part to it. So obviously in the industry that we work in, right? Any sales driven industry, it's all about referrals and relationships,
Yep.
right? How do you think a real estate professional can leverage social media to help kind of strengthen those connections with other referral partners?
Oh man. Oh, I think first and foremost, we never want to feel like we're being sold to, right? I can't imagine being a real estate agent in 2025 right now. I'm sure, like, because every loan officer is hitting them up on social, on text, and email saying, "Hey, you want to go grab a coffee and talk about rates?" Like, nobody wants to do that, right? Your job is make it about them. Like, and one tip I heard recently that I thought was super awesome is do a green screen of a video or a listing post that an agent did and talk about something unique about that house, right? Like you seem to like the Zillow gets weird stuff, right? Like, oh my gosh, that house is so insane. You never would have thought that would be there, right? Something like that you could do. And you don't always have the opportunity to do that, but thinking about how can you take their content and react to that content specifically in a way that's personal, the way that's meaningful, that helps you again stand out. Because they want to feel like they're seen. They want to feel like they are the star of the show. You always want to have that be the case if you're looking in a referral based sales environment. It's not about you. It's not about the value that you're bringing. It's about them and how much more business you're going to help them win. I think second to that would be the guy that they want to follow, right? If you want to like get them to follow you back and engage with your content, would you do the same thing for yourself? Like, would you follow somebody like that? Is your content engaging enough? Maybe just even funny, right? I see this with you a lot. It's like, it's just be a friend and give them a reason to want to be your friend, and the business will come naturally.
Yeah, I'm it's funny you said about like trying to take out the hyper formality of it because it is a tough balance between the two.
Hmm.
But what I always try to do is like over the weekend, I'm usually talking nothing business and everything with my kids. And it also
Yep.
happens to be the time when I'm usually with my children, right? Because during the week, you know how it is, it's late nights or it's
Yep.
late and stuff like that to a point where Wednesdays now are the nights that I stay late. So my wife brings the kids to the office and we make a whole shebang out of it. And we've got like a little bar restaurant that we love going to now. So I love that and being able to promote the referral partner as them being the shining star, right? As opposed
Yep.
to you as the LO or the lender or the real estate professional doing that, I think certainly works. So switching gears a little bit. So let's say I'm a professional who's a little hesitant to jump on camera, right? You and I can grab a phone in 2 seconds and shoot stuff off the rip, right? What
Yep.
advice do you think you would give to somebody who's little afraid of jumping on the camera or doesn't know the content, right? I always say, hey, it's what's the saying? Like if you think you sound like shit, that's just how you sound.
Yes.
But what do you think? What advice would you give somebody who's afraid of
Uh,
really jumping on content or shooting content and jumping on camera? What do you think would be their best avenues to start?
Yeah, well, I've got a piece of like kind of harsh reality here, and it's maybe a little unpopular, and it hurts when you hear it. But like, really, your fear is selfish, right? You have something to offer, you have something to give to people, so you're thinking more about how you look rather than more about helping people. So if you could reframe your mind to think about like it's you're being selfish, worried about not posting that content because you look ugly, put a sticky note over your face where you can't see it and just make the freaking video, right? And the other piece that is like I think I call it the first 10 rule. Your first 10 videos are going to suck. That's just it. And you're going to be awkward. No one's going to watch it. You're going to get 200 views, and it's probably going to be your mom, right? And that's okay. But you did it. You got past. Once you get past that 10, it becomes so much easier for you to create that content. So just you gotta get past that. It's like let's talk about the gym, Abdel, right? Like getting like if you've taken a break from the gym or you've never gone, your first 10 workouts are going to be crap. You're going to hurt, you're going to be sore for days, but like if you stop, you're going to set yourself back again, right? You got to just like keep on going, work through the pain, and then you'll get stronger and you'll be better about it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, I think if you've seen some of my original first videos when we shot them, and we've been shooting for 7 years now, it's 2018, and it was always me like hyper dressed up in a suit or
Yeah.
whatever it was, versus as I started getting a little bit more familiar, right, with how to brand myself and stuff like that. No longer do I wear a suit even on a day-to-day basis, unless it's like a hyper formal event. Am I going to rock a suit? It's more of you're going to get the authenticity, and you're going to get us and allow our knowledge to dictate through the screen rather than just necessarily just appearance, right?
Well, and you're still like professional about it though, right? You're
100%.
wearing PRMG gear, you've got your Got Mortgage branding on there. You're not looking like a slob. You're making it happen, and you're that's part of your brand, right? Let me just say one more thing about this too. Is this is really really important. So if you listen to nothing else I say today, I think this is it. Nobody's talking about you, so stop
Yeah.
worrying about it. Nobody cares about the video you posted, and like it's you are cringing at yourself. That's normal, but just post it anyway. It's not about you.
It's so funny you say that because after a certain point, it took a while to be able to want to be like, all right, well, what do I talk about, or what do I say, or how do I say it, or do it? And listen, it's uber critical to do the research in advance, right?
Hmm.
Like even before our podcast, it's yo, dude, these are the questions that I think I have in mind, or these are the conversations that I think we should lead with. Obviously, things don't go 120% according to what you want to ask, but it's the preparation in advance, right? And then being able to advocate, right, and kind of form your own lane, right? I
Yep.
think definitely helps, allow that much more success, and it comes off more authentic, right?
Right.
There was something I was sharing with it was called the ease principle, EASE, which
Mm.
was empathy, authenticity, simplicity, and empathy, authenticity, simplicity, and fuck, I forgot what the last E was. I think it was education or something.
That makes sense.
Um,
Yeah.
and it's true because when you're talking to somebody, you want to be empathetic, right? You want to be authentic because you don't want to shoot the shit for and really lie, and people could see that commission breath. Being as
Gosh.
simple as possible, and it's true, man. Right now, it's a fine line. Again, we're in Jersey, and the houses here are just pieces of crap.
Mhm.
Um,
And very expensive.
and hell yeah. So the tricky part is what we're starting to run into is a lot of issues in inspections, right?
Mhm.
So home inspections. So then obviously we're the professionals. I'm a homeowner. I've got a few investment properties. So like it's a tough gamble too, because you put yourself in the shoes of the consumer, and more than likely they're buying it being a first time home buyer, and then there's chip paint or this or that, and let's say the appraiser doesn't flag it, but they're getting hesitant, they're getting cold feet. And I think it's a fine line between being empathetic with them and listen, like, listen, dude, I get it, this is the competitive market, totally understand it. And then once you start noticing, like, hey, yeah, but the rooms are small, I'm like, well, dude, they didn't shrink, right? They've been that size. So do you just not like the house? And then like,
Yeah,
well, not really. We've been back on Zoom or on Zillow. I'm like, well, what are we doing here? Let's let's
yeah,
let's try to figure out a strategic way to get you out of the contract, rather than us trying to push this deal down your throat. Because at the end of
mhm,
the day, if a buyer's mindset is set as they don't want the house, I don't want to also be the professional to oversell them, because then in many instances they're going to just probably kill the deal anyway, and then they're going to kick me to the curb. And I've seen that a lot with some real estate professionals, where they'll push the client to want to buy the home, the client doesn't want it, and then they get irritated, and then they drop that realtor, find a different realtor, get a home under contract, and then still use us on the lending side, because we were pretty straightforward. Because I'm like, listen, if you
yeah.
want it, you want it. You don't want it, it's okay. We've got all the money in the world to lend, and I want to make sure you want it. So I love it. So what do you feel like now? So say you're a stud on shooting content and all that stuff. What do you find are the biggest mistakes that various real estate professionals usually make on social media, and what do you think are the ways that they could fix them?
Yeah, dude. I think there's three main things. Number one is trying to impress your colleagues versus home buyers. Right. I see this a lot where it's like, dude, I'm talking about the mortgage process, I'm making fun of borrowers, or I'm a realtor and I'm talking about, how awful like dealing with, contracts is and things like that. Like that's the kind of content that like you're making it to like get your colleagues' attention, and that's not what you really want. You want home buyers, you want your referral partners, and so there's a strategy for some people for that type of content, and that's called people who are building like an EXP brand or something like that,
Sure,
right? Where you
sure.
want your downline, to kind of be able to get in and be with you, right? But for the active practitioner, I think it's got to be more about what you can provide and less about what is funny or crazy about your job, right? So talk like a human. Think about it's that empathy piece, right? It's having empathy for your consumer out there. So that's number one. Number two is being professional instead of interesting. And we kind of talked about this earlier today. It's like, and how you've evolved over time. You said it earlier, right? It's like I used to get all buttoned up. I, put my tie on. I had to look,
Yep.
had to have the great studio. But then as you became more personal, you've caught your groove. I think a lot of people go through that kind of arc of it's, I'm trying to be really good. It's hard. But then when I kind of get, I might come down a little bit as I'm finding more of myself, but then it goes up to the moon, right? So be interesting, be yourself. That like even if you think that you're not interesting, somebody finds you interesting. I
Yeah.
guarantee it. And you will find that niche and you can be real, you can be raw, you can be opinionated and still like safe content gets ignored, right? Just throw it out there. Now, of course, the big caveat for that is don't say things that are going to really upset people, right? Like, so, it's the Thanksgiving dinner policy, right? Don't talk about the things that are really going to upset, your uncle or the aunt or the grandma because but so you can be yourself. But if yourself is really annoying and super political, I may avoid that.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that point, because I think it's people find that they try to cater to so many different people instead of identifying the niche, right?
yeah,
And first of all, politics is like completely a conversation that you never want to have from a professional perspective. And
yeah.
it's so tough too, especially, over the last, what has it been, 4 months, 5
Yeah,
months,
dude. Oof.
because it plays such a major role into our industry of the housing market. So whenever I'm explaining certain things to clients, especially when we start geeking out, with your average consumer who might, be a little bit more have an appetite for that conversation, I start the conversation immediately. Listen, I'm not going to talk about what side is right, blue, red, green, aquamarine. I'm simply just stating the facts and things like that, and then we're able to kind of pivot that way. So, no, I love it, man. And then, so with that being said, aside from politics, what do you think are the emerging trends, right? That you're starting
Yeah.
to see a lot of loan officers really are doing that are successful or should be paying attention to heading into the year?
Yeah, I think there's a couple, and I think the first one let's talk about is what I would consider like rant content, right? It's not polished tips, but it's like strong opinions, right? So instead of saying like, here's 5 homebuyer tips, try like the biggest scam in real estate right now is, and like give your take, right? And just go off on it a little bit, right? And I think that just changes the framework from I'm boring and professional to like here's like a good hook to like kind of rope you in and talk about the same thing, but maybe just in a slightly more interesting, albeit provocative type of way. I don't know. What do you think about
Yeah, I suck at coming up with creative hooks. You
that?
know who's a beast at that is one of your teammates, Ashley.
Ashley, she is the
She's
absolute best.
she's awesome every single time. I'm like, fuck, what would Ashley say? Because it's always like and you're like, all right, guys, or it's like, first of all, you should start off with, hey guys, your favorite warriors under gone, right? And then you attract.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that because I've tried to get so much better where it's like, holy crap, did interest rates just jump up? And then people are like, oh, what the fuck happened?
Oh,
So that, yeah, that's definitely a great point to make. Any final words that you think you would have
yeah,
for
dude. Well, I got a couple other ones here if you want to talk about them.
Yep,
Unless you got to wrap this up, but I think let me tell you one more because I think this is a really, really important one.
yep,
And it's AI is going to make your content boring
sure.
and completely useless, right? We have these big old brains in here that like you need to like actually still use. AI can help you kind of like think about things and help you write a better hook, but you have to still come up with some ideas. Like if you and that yes, AI can help you sound more interesting. It can come up with good ideas, but it's like garbage in, garbage out. I think that doing the absolute minimum and putting in there like, hey, ChatGPT, give me or Grok or DeepSeek or whatever, give me 10 mortgage topics to talk about. It's going to be the same thing that everyone
Yeah,
else is already talking about, right? You got to dig deeper and come up with some things and I think that really what it comes down to is sharing real life stories, sharing your real life experiences. What happened with the bar with a hard deal, talking about something that you failed at, right? That's awesome, right? Like, oh, dude, I totally messed up. And I told this borrower that there's not going to be a problem with the appraisal. And then it came back low and I had to eat crow. But here's the way that we fixed it. That kind of stuff works because everybody knows that you're human and that like showing a little bit of like realness to you is huge. And AI can't do that for you.
yeah. I'm big into AI, right? KP and I are
Same.
always running through like, yo, what do you got going on here? And then we've got all this new crap going out. And I love it because it's obviously one from a revenue perspective, right? It's supposed to maximize your revenue, reduce your expenses. But I also think it's what we talked about, the empathy portion. Like
Yep.
you can't use it to an extent where it's still got to be you, right?
Yep.
Where it can't you can't walk in a room and read a chat GPT script. Or you, in my opinion, really can't even use a script to an extent to just like you can tell when people like when I shoot our content, it's off the rip, right?
Hmm.
There's no like and then this happened and then that happened, right? You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
it's it's truly obvious. And I love the effort. So if you're a professional who's starting that way, all day.
Use the teleprompter. Use the script.
I
Do
yeah,
it.
I don't
It's not
I don't
bad. Yeah.
just start is my recommendation. That's what I tell my LOs is, dude, just get started. Like I've put a massive TV on like a TV stand, and then I usually use your platform, and then we'll have like the camera and we'll point it straight, and then that way the camera's playing, and then it's right there on the side, and then
Perfect.
and then it's like, dude, like you cannot at this point now complain to me that first of all, you don't have a space to shoot content because in reality, I'm even sometimes not even a fan of having such a nice studio and a backdrop and all that shit. I'm in my home office, and then it's like you got pictures of the kids, all that. People would rather take that, than a nice fancy green screen that I now have to go on Adobe or go on whatever platform to edit that looks like it's taken a little bit of time as opposed to authentic walking my dog, which we haven't been doing because it's so goddamn cold in Jersey, which sucks. But once the weather gets hot, then I'm back at it. Right, we're gonna be
Right.
walking the dog. We're gonna be shooting content. We're gonna be waiting for 8:30 in the morning for a CPI to come out and hopefully come in low so rates can drop. Um, and take it from there, man. But
I
this was
love it.
awesome. Did you have
Yeah.
more?
No, this is good. I'm gonna get boring after this. So AI didn't give me enough content for today's call.
No, you're
No, that's
good.
good. No,
This was great. I definitely appreciate your time. I
same.
love seeing the success you guys are having, really over the last few years, and really kicking things into high gear. The partnership that we've got going on also is phenomenal. Seeing a lot of different teammates, also throughout the entire nation utilize your services is awesome as well. You guys know I'm a firm advocate with everything that you guys bring to the table. And your presentation at leadership was awesome too. Ashley knocked it out of the park too, which was great. And that kind of stuff leaves a lasting impression with me, right? Because you go to all these trade shows and you go to all these leadership conferences and all that stuff, and it's cool, but it's always what are the 2 3 things that you can go back and take home, and you guys were definitely one of those. So
I appreciate that, man. It's
yeah,
super nice of you to say, and we really appreciate the partnership. And anything we can always do to help, we're here for it.
cool, awesome. If somebody wants to reach out to you or find you, what's the best way?
Yeah, check out socialcoach.io, not .com. That's an Australian dating site, .io. Or you can always shoot us an email at info@socialcoach.io.
Dude, I never knew that .com was a dating coach. Now I'm
Go
gonna
check
be
it out. You got to
tempted
check it
to.
out.
My wife's gonna be like, "What the fuck is this?"
No, it teaches Australian men how to talk to women.
That's great. Well,
So there
hopefully
you
you'll
have
teach them how to shoot content too, right? And we'll push it that way. Cool, Joe. Appreciate your time, my friend.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
See
bro.
ya.